Hey guys, we're going into a story here that might make a lot of people uneasy. There's just a lot to say with this story right now. And this came out a few days ago in North Carolina. This monster, committed a senseless act of killing this woman here. And the whole story behind it is very interesting because most of mainstream media is not covering it. Because it's a black man committing a crime on a white woman. And if the roles were reversed, this would be national news coverage. But because it's against mainstream media's agenda, we're seeing nothing come out. So it is now up to us to spread the story of this Ukrainian refugee that was killed senselessly by this deranged individual. Now this is him right here. He was charged with killing this Ukrainian refugee here. She's literally getting off of work. And guess what? He was currently set free on cashless bail. You might think, okay, that's fine. He committed a crime and is, wandering about. But no. He had 14 prior arrests. 14. Why is someone who was arrested 14 times out roaming free in our society? Why is there someone like this who's able to get cashless bail after 14 arrests? What is going on? And this ultimately led up to the death of this young woman here. She is a Ukrainian refugee. She came here to escape the war in Ukraine and ultimately was met with violence, senseless violence. This is directly after the incident. The terror in her eyes, you can see. She is utterly confused to see that someone would do that to her. It was unprovoked. She literally just sat down. This guy comes up and ends her life. And what makes it even more frustrating and upsetting, these people here, they did nothing. They did nothing. They watched it happen. There she is crying. Right after it happened, this man escapes, he leaves. These other people here did nothing, didn't even call 911. There was one individual that did come and try to help her, but at that point, it was already too late. Why are we living in this sort of society where we can't even get someone to dial 911 when they witness a senseless crime like this? Here is Caroline Levitt shaming the reporters for essentially not covering this story at all.
Today, I would like to address the tragedy that has not received nearly enough media attention, the brutal murder of Iryna Zarutska. Here are the facts that many outlets have shamefully and intentionally failed to report until President Trump drew attention to it. On August 22nd, Iryna Zarutska was stabbed to death on the rail system in Charlotte,
See how
North
much
Carolina,
time has passed?
by a savage career
We didn't even
criminal.
hear about
This
this,
is a public transportation
and I've
system
heard that
many
they've
in the
been
area
reluctant to release the entire video because they felt like it would cause people to be racist.
use every single day to go to school and work. Iryna was on the train that night traveling home from her job at a pizzeria, still in uniform from her shift. This beautiful, innocent 23-year-old young woman was a Ukrainian
23 years old,
who had recently
still
fled her
has
country
so
for a
much
chance at a
life
safer
left to
life
live.
and a promising new beginning here in the United States of America.
And yet we failed her. The United States failed her. Oh, here's the mainstream media that we're waiting for.
Hurt people
Wait.
hurt people. What happened was horrible, but it becomes an opportunity for people to
It's not
jump
what
on
you think it is.
bandwagons. And then for someone like Charlie Kirk,
So context here. Charlie Kirk said that this was a race-driven killing. That he killed her because she was white.
He should be ashamed of himself. No one mentioned the word race, white, black, or anything
No one?
except him. What people mention is the horror of what happened to this young woman.
Okay, so no one mentioned race. Well, the killer sure did. He said he killed that white girl. He said it twice after it happened. And you can see the floor. That is all hers. That is all her blood on the floor. Dripping from his knife. After that fatal wound. She is just on the bus to go home. And here's the full clip, I believe.
Want to be there.
Yeah, and it's
It's
super
about
difficult
forcing them
because
to be there.
when you are mentally ill, you have a hard time knowing that you are mentally ill.
Oh, really? When you're mentally ill, you have a hard time knowing that you're mentally ill. Okay, what about the 14 arrests? The people that were in charge of all of those 14 arrests that let him walk free. Couldn't they tell that he was mentally ill and he should not be roaming our streets? Sure, give him the benefit of the doubt, which I don't think you should. Oh, he's mentally ill. He didn't know he's mentally ill. Well, why didn't the people that reviewed all of his prior arrests let him go
But
free?
also, I mean, people like Charlie Kirk, Van, they've been looking for opportunities to make this some sort of like reciprocal George Floyd situation.
Wow. You guys just wait. There's so much coverage from the left when it is reversed roles. And we'll see that for sure. We will see that for sure. Hold on.
And that's the part.
And where's the Kamala Anthony coverage from CNN? Basically none, I think. Yeah,
That
that's
I
what I
think
thought.
he's almost giving away the game, and it's sad to see a lot of people going along with it.
You know, let me just say a couple of things. One is, I mean, what happened to that young woman was horrible. And it's everybody's
Agreed.
nightmare. If you're in any public space,
It should
subway,
never
whatever,
happen.
that
Should have
something bad's
never
gonna happen to you or
happened.
somebody you care about. So it does strike a chord. We don't know why that man did what he did.
No, we do know. He was crazy, deranged, and should have never been on the street.
And for Charlie Kirk to say, we know he did it because she's white, when there's no evidence of that, it's just pure
Well-
race mongering, hate mongering, it's wrong. Then he says that if something like that had happened the other way, there would be sweeping changes imposed on society. Where is the George
Yeah.
Floyd Policing Act? It didn't pass. Even when
You know why? It was a dumb act. That's why. Why would you cut funding to the police? If you wanted the police to change and reform, wouldn't you add more funding for education? Bring people in there that can help them reform if that truly is the cause. And you know why as well? You have a corporation like Black Lives Matter at the forefront of what happened after George Floyd. That is the reason why nothing happened. That is the reason why. Oh, and here's more proof again, a bigger. Yep. That's all her. That's all her blood on the floor. These people were in the front and they're like, they didn't witness what happened. This guy here does realize something went wrong. But again, it was too late. And here it is. Here's the news coverage. George Floyd. Look how many articles. Trayvon Martin. Look how many articles. The Maryland man. Look how many articles. And here it is. Daniel Penny. Oh, why does Daniel Penny, a white male, have so many posts from the New York Times? And look at that. 0 for this instance. 0. Let's take a look at these other news sources. AP 0, PBS 0, New York Times, NPR, Wall Street Journal, BBC, CNN, nothing. And then we got people saying like this, why aren't you guys covering this right-wing media? Well, because it is not the same thing. It's not the same thing. You know why? This guy, he had maybe one prior, he has like one, I believe he had one warrant from a different state. He committed a senseless crime. He slashed a woman's throat in Tulsa. But the difference is this. He was not arrested 14 times. He was not arrested 14 times. He was not a repeat over and over and over that was able to walk free and commit this senseless killing. Fortunately for the woman that he attacked, she is recovering, and hopefully it will make a full recovery. But that's why. They are not the same. They're similar, but not the same, not even close. Here it is. There's the full facts right there. And then here's Daniel Penny. Got a lot of coverage from the New York Times because he stopped a black man from hurting people in a similar circumstance. He was a hero and stopped him from attacking other people with a knife. And what did we do to him? He got persecuted. They put him on trial saying it's vigilante justice. He did it because he was black. He went and stopped him because he was black. He's a hero. Here's the villain. Why are we persecuting our heroes and letting our villains walk free? Why is this? What kind of twilight zone are we living in? Where the people that protect others are persecuted, and the one that committed multiple crimes gets to walk free and ultimately end someone's life. What kind of twilight zone are we living in right now? Here's the big kicker. She was a supporter of Black Lives Matter. This is her room. Black Lives Matter right there, right on her door. Can you imagine part of that shock that she had was getting killed by a black man? Can you imagine that? That's where the shock comes in as well. She supported Black Lives Matter and then ultimately ended up being killed by a black man. And then we got these delusional people as well. Thank God this GoFundMe for this lunatic, this monster was canceled. Thank God. Why are we doing this? Why do we keep doing this? Why are people making GoFundMes for these criminals? Why is Carmelo Anthony getting money from a GoFundMe? It's obvious what happened here. It's all on camera. And yet people still want to defend them. It's just insanity, guys. We live in a backwards world right now. There is a little bit of hope, though. The Department of Justice is bringing federal charges against the killer. Thank God there is some sense left. However, at this time, it is too late. She's already dead. We should have made this move a long time ago. We should have had him locked up a long time ago. And now we have the opportunity to make changes to our laws to prevent repeat criminals from getting out. We have to stop judges who let repeat criminals that do this get off scot-free. This is utterly insanity. Why are we living in a backwards world right now? Make it all make sense. So he could be charged with the death penalty. I'm not saying it's going to make things right. I'm not saying it's going to make her come back to life. But it is a start. Punishing people for the crimes they commit. This should have never, ever happened. What kind of society, what kind of world are we living in? Where someone just can't go home without meeting their end in a senseless crime. Make sure you guys follow for updates, and if the mainstream media won't cover this, it is up to us to carry this news out and try to prevent this from happening to other people, because this is a crime that should have never happened.